Right, well, 8 o'clock, so it is time for us to get started. So I'm just looking around desperately to see where the man is, but the second Ollie comes on, I'm going to let him go into his presentation. The idea behind tonight's call is to give you all a refresher of the presentation that Ollie and John did 3-4 weeks ago right now, because it seems that we've had some confusion because a lot of people seem to have either forgotten things that we said or missed what was said, and there was an awful lot to take in right in one go. So I understand that. That's why I would say have a pen and paper handy and make plenty of notes, because they're really, really important right now. Excuse me. I want to go through literally everything that DiVA is and what it does, and more importantly, excuse me, what your part is in that, because your part in it is very important, and it seems also more than a bit unclear in places, and people seem to want to know. I don't know, I get the impression that some people expect DiVA to do more than it really can do. And so we want to make sure that people understand exactly what it is and exactly what it is that it can do for you. So that said, Ollie's now turned up absolutely bang on time to take over from me and stop me waffling and sound as if I'm just blagging this, because I'm not really, but nonetheless, Ollie has the presentation and I don't. So Ollie, on that basis, it's over to you, my friend.
Right. Good evening, everybody, and hope you're all having a great evening. We've had a good day. I am going to run through a presentation with you of what your system is and what it does, and what you should be looking to do with it. And so I'm going to share my screen with you, and then at the end of this presentation, you'll have all the opportunities to ask as many questions as you like. So let me get my screen shared. Roger, could you enable screen sharing, please?
Sorry, mate. Yes, I can. Done.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, so. Okay, so hopefully you guys are able to see my screen, my phone screen. Can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so your system is housed within Messenger. So you go into Messenger, you go onto Winner's Circle, and that is you. That's where you're at. And your system, as you can see, is entitled the Winner's Circle DiVA. And I'm going to take you through, again, exactly from the beginning of how to use it. So you've got 3 buttons that you can see there on the actual DiVA itself. One is Invite and Share DiVA. The other one is your members area, and the other one is Support and Training. And then underneath, depending on the device you're using, as to where it will be, if you're on your desktop, it might be shifted over to the left. If you're on an iPhone, you will see it as the same as my screen. And if you're on an Android, it might be slightly different. But you will have what we call a burger menu, which is the 3 lines above one another. And that is a way in which to enter your system, enter your menu. But I'll come in onto that a little bit later. So I'm going to go into Invite and Share DiVA. And this brings you straight onto what we call a carousel, which means that you can scroll right and left to see other options within your DiVA system. So the first option that you've got is a DiVA card W, which is for DiVA card for your warm market. The second option is a DiVA card C, which is for your cold market. You have the DiVA card editor, you have the ability to add your WhatsApp now, your WhatsApp number, and you can add your Facebook profile. Now I'll come on to those in a minute, but I'm going to show you how to set up your DiVA card. So you go into Create Now, and now what we've done with this system is, before you used to have to set up 2 pictures, 2 videos, and put your phone number in twice. You no longer have to do that. Now, as soon as you set up one DiVA card, it populates, it populates the other DiVA card with your photo and with your video and your phone number. So I'm going to press Get Started. Now the system knows you already because it knows your information from Facebook. So it will refer to you by your name. My name on Facebook is Ollie, that's my name. But if your name on Facebook was something, you know, a little naughty, that's what it would come up with. But if it was something comical, it would come up with that as well. So you want to be careful of how you've named yourself on Facebook, because obviously you want to look professional with your people. So if you've given Facebook your telephone number, it would already pre-populate it along the bottom for you to press on for it to populate your DiVA card. I haven't, so I'm going to add my phone number, and you have to do it in the international way. So +44, and then you drop the 0. So for me, it's 7557999 007. If you make a mistake at that point, you are given the option to change it, but I'm happy with that. That's correct. Then I'm going to do my selfie. So you press on the camera icon to the left-hand side there. There's my selfie. It will give you the option to change it if you're unhappy with it. I mean, I'm not happy with that, but for the purposes of the demo, we'll keep it. So I'll say save now. And then it'll give you the option to record a video. I want to say I love that. It'll populate in a minute. It's just a delay on the Wi-Fi. So I'm going to say, yes, I want to record a video. So then on an iPhone, you would click on the camera and hold down the white circle, but on other devices, it's different. So hi, it's Ollie Burgess from Superstar Bots. This is a test video. And then you let your finger go, take your finger off the button, press send, and it will send your video up to our server. Now the video needs to be recorded in anything under 4K. If you go any higher than that from a resolution wise, it won't save. And it needs to be 20 seconds or less. If you go any more than that, it won't save. So it then asks you if you're happy or if you want to replace the video. I'm going to say I'm happy with it, so I'll save it, and then it'll take usually 10 to 15 seconds, but sometimes it can take longer to populate your DiVA card. So show my DiVA card, and there's my DiVA card. So my picture that you've seen me just take, my name, my telephone number, my welcome video, and learn more. Now, if you ever want to see what the learn more flow is, all you need to do is to send the DiVA card to yourself in Messenger. And how you would do that, and indeed how you would send it to anybody else in Messenger, is you would press on here on my screen and on yours, you would see either a square with an arrow pointing up to the right hand side, or on your screen you might see 3 little dots, or a blue arrow if you're on Android. It's slightly different, but whatever it is, it will be to the right hand side of your picture, and you just press on it and it will open up Messenger. So I'm going to send this to myself as a test. On an iPhone, you can pre-populate a test message or a message. It doesn't have to be a test message. You can pre-populate a message. On Android, you can't do that, so you'd have to send the message separately. But then I'm going to search myself. There I am. I'm going to press send, and I'm going to have sent the DiVA card to myself. So when I'm going to come out of here, I'm going to go into Messenger, and I'm just going to show you the flow as an example. So there's me. It's come to me. It goes straight away. So if you send it to somebody else on Messenger, it's instant that they receive it. But I won't click on the welcome video because it normally cuts off AirPlay, and so I don't want it to cut off for sharing my screen with you. But if I click on Learn More, it will give you an example, and it says to you, this conversation with Winner's Circle DiVA will be the conversation you have with your cold market prospects, and it'll give you an example of what that looks like. So if I press Get Started, it will take me through an example of the flow that your prospects will see when they go through their flow. And obviously when they go through it all, as long as they answer in a positive manner, i.e. not negatively, then they will come out the other end once they have chosen how to continue that conversation with you, which is something that we changed for Roger and Simon and you guys at your request the other day. Once they've chosen how they wish to continue that conversation, they will pop through the other end as pre-qualified. Now, if I go back into Winner's Circle, and I'm going to, I was talking about the burger menu earlier. I'm just going to press on the burger menu, and I'm going to bring up the main menu again. And I'm just going to go back to invite and share DiVA. And I'm going to show you other ways in which you can share your DiVA. So obviously the first way is to view your DiVA card and to share it in Messenger. Another way is an invite URL. So the invite URL will populate your system with an invite URL. There's mine. It's different for all of you. It's tagged with your individual reference, and it enables you to share that link, to copy and paste that link onto practically anywhere you want. You can share it on LinkedIn, across social media streams. You can put it as an email signature, wherever you want it to go. One thing that you have to remember with sharing URLs is that sometimes, not everywhere, but sometimes on some platforms, it will populate or pre-populate a thumbnail image, and you need to be aware of that image, because that image can cause issues. It's not something that our system generates. It is something that generally Facebook will generate, and if someone clicks on the thumbnail rather than the link, it will take them on a different journey. So what you need to do is, when you do share that link, any pre-populated picture that pops up, delete that and then share the link without that. If ever anybody comes back to you and says your link doesn't work, and you know that you've shared your URL, all you need to say to them is, did you click the underlined text? And if they didn't, you know the answer. They need to click the underlined text. So that's another way of sharing it. And then the final way of sharing it is a QR code. If you press on QR code, it will populate a QR code, and you can use that QR code as a screensaver. You can have it on pamphlets, on leaflets. You can, even if you've got an old-fashioned, paper business card, you can have them put on the paper business card. So with something like scan here on it, and people can scan it and go into your system. So that's another way of sharing it. When you look at the URL, the URL, when you share the URL, instead of taking you to your DiVA card, it will take the prospect straight into the flow. So whether that be the cold flow or the warm flow, they will go straight into the flow, and they will go through your the pre-qualification. When they qualify, they're able to go into the support tab, and they're able to see your contact details. If you go in via the QR code or via sharing your DiVA card as normal, then they will see your DiVA card. They'll see your video, they'll see your picture, they'll see your telephone before anything else. So if we go back to the main menu, and we go back into invite and share, and we pop across to the WhatsApp. Now, WhatsApp is a relatively new integration into our system. You guys are aware of it. I know that some of you have been using it. What you need to do is to put your WhatsApp number in there. There's a certain way in which it's done. I'll show you. So if we add WhatsApp, so it is important that the way that it works, the way that the API is set up for this is different. And so you need to be aware that you're, as before where you were putting in the +44, for WhatsApp, you don't put in the plus. So it's quite clear. The international format, but without the plus. So to show you, I want to put in mine again without the plus. And that's it. And that's my WhatsApp connected. Now, what will happen is when someone comes through an ad co-op or any other way, in fairness, but say for example, they come through an ad co-op and they choose to wish to connect with you via WhatsApp, then they press WhatsApp and that will populate into your members area, which I'll show you in a minute, but that will populate into your members area to say that they have pressed WhatsApp. What that will then do is on their screen, it will bring up a pre-populated text box that for argument's sake says, hi, my name's Ollie, I want to connect with you on WhatsApp, or something similar to that. They have to press send on that for it to connect to your WhatsApp. If they don't, then the connection is not made. So they have to send it. And it's as clear as anything. When they press on WhatsApp to have that conversation, that pre-populated box comes up and they have to press send for that link to be made. If they don't, then that link is not made. So that's WhatsApp. If we then go back to the invite and share, you've also got the ability, you don't have to, but the ability to add your Facebook profile. And what that enables people to do is to look you up. And this is why it's important for you to have, or for you to recognize that your Facebook profile is always something that people are going to look at to edify you to them, you know, they're going to want to look at you and see that you are the real deal, that you're worth getting in touch with. So it's important, if you are going to add it, to make sure that your Facebook profile, the one that is public facing, is of good quality. And if it isn't, or you know, you put some posts on there that are potentially questionable, then you might not want to add your profile. But that's entirely up to you. Now, if we go back to the main menu and we go into the members area, now this is what's called a web view. And this brings up, a lot of people mistake it for an app. It's not an app, it's a web view, and it's a web view of your members area. So in your members area, the winner's circle, you've got some submenus. You've got about, some FAQs that are yet to go in there actually, but you've got your prospects, you've got search, you've got support. Now, if we go over to prospects, you've got some new things that have just appeared within the last couple of days. Your prospects now have got a date and a time stamp on them, which is super important, and it makes it a lot easier for you to keep track of them. You've got you guys, this came from you, this came from Simon and Roger via you guys. You wanted the title, the headings changed, so they were changed from what they were before to now to leads and to hot leads. And you've got your view and your tags, which I'll go into in a second. But the difference between leads and hot leads are people that haven't pre-qualified. What I mean by that is that they've gone through they've pressed get started. So in the beginning, when you send your DIVA card to them and they press on learn more, they have to press on get started to enable that data transfer. And Facebook have a little bit of information in there that says the winner's circle will see your data when you press get started. And so if they press get started, they will immediately show up as a lead in your members area. Now, if they go on to qualify, they become a hot lead, they become pre-qualified. But if they, for any reason, don't go through the whole of your flow and you know, get halfway through and not finish it, then they're only show up as a lead. If they go through the whole of your flow, answer positively, and provide their contact details, whether WhatsApp or telephone number, then they become pre-qualified and they pop into your hot lead section as pre-qualified. Now, with those that aren't qualified, so the leads, it's important to remember that you can have a conversation with them. Then it doesn't mean that because they've not qualified that you can't have a conversation with them. You still have the 24-hour rule, but you have that opportunity to send them a message and say, you know, in this instance, hi Ian, I see that you clicked on get started, and I see that you haven't completed the journey. You know, is there anything that I can help you with? Just start up that conversation, that journey, because it might be legitimate, the reason why they haven't finished it. You know, life gets in the way. You know, they might be busy with kids, or, you know, they're busy with work or whatever, and something has happened where they haven't finished it. So I would absolutely implore you to reach out to them and see if that is a possibility, because you just never know. And if they say, you know, yes, sorry, I haven't finished it, then you can build up that relationship and build on that from there. But if you don't ask, you're never going to know. And if it goes over 24 hours, then you've lost them. Which brings me on to that importance of the 24-hour rule. What is the 24-hour rule? Well, the 24-hour rule is something that Facebook have insisted on apps, that third-party apps or third-party connections that utilize the Facebook Messenger platform. And so ManyChat, which is the platform upon which our bot is built, falls under that category. And so they have 24 hours in which a lead connects with you for you to have a conversation with that lead. And that is to prevent unethical companies and unethical people from spamming the hell out of people that are leads. Now, that 24-hour rule only exists within your members area platform. It doesn't exist on Messenger as a separate utility. It doesn't exist on WhatsApp. It doesn't exist when you're telephoning people. It only exists in your members area. And it starts from the time that they come into your system. So you've got 24 hours in which to get into a conversation with them. Now, as long as you send that message, whatever that message is, as long as you send it within 24 hours, if they're on holiday, for instance, and they don't message you back straight away, but 3 weeks later they message you back, then your 24-hour clock resets and you've got another 24 hours in which to have that conversation with them. If, however, they don't answer you back and, you know, you feel that they're not ever going to, then you can add a tag to them. And I'll show you that. So we're going to go into tags here. You can add a tag to them. And if you add the tag discard lead, which is there, which I'm not going to press because he's good for demos. But if you add the tag discard lead, then he or she or whoever it is will be removed from your members area and you won't see them anymore. They'll be discarded. They go. Again, you can press view and you can see any conversations you've had or anything that they've answered. So if they have answered one of the questions but none of the others, you will see that they've answered one of the questions. And then you can add any notes that you want to add. And you can also go into your chat area and you can see where I've been demoing this with Ian. You can see that I've added chat to it and he's replied to me. Now this actually, as you see it currently, is set to change. So it's going to be slightly easier for you guys to differentiate between those that you have sent and those that you have received. So here at the moment, it's sort of, at first glance, it's not so easy to make that differentiation. But if, or soon, you're going to have sent messages by you appear on one side. It's going to look like Messenger. So you have sent messages appear on one side of the screen, received messages appear on the other side of the screen, and there's going to be more of a differentiator in the colors used. So it'd be much clearer for you guys to see. But if we go back to the prospects screen, I'm going to go into the hot lead. You can see that this guy's a friend of mine. He's in another network marketing company, but he's a friend of mine, and he's gone through this as a demoing it for me to showcase to you. And you can see the date that he's gone through, the time. You can see PQC, which stands for pre-qualified cold. So he's come through on a cold DiVA. He's pre-qualified. You can see that I've tagged him as a hot prospect and that he's converted. If I go into view, you can see that he answered the following questions and the answers and the time and date that he did that. Any notes that I've added are up the top. So I've said follow up at 10 p.m. I can add more notes if I want to. What you should remember is that whilst these notes are private to you, so you can add a note, no one else sees those notes apart from you and me as an admin. I can see them, but nobody else sees them. But what you should remember is that if ever anyone did a data access request, this information could be provided to them. So you want to refrain from any notes that might be a little unsavory. So remain professional, in other words. No matter how tempted you might be to do the complete opposite, and I fall into that boat a lot, so I don't blame you at all. So that's the note. So if I go into the chat section, I can see his picture. That's his current profile picture on Facebook. That's the picture that would populate there. So if they had any other sort of pictures as their profile picture, then that would be the picture that would populate. And then you can see any messages that that we've sent between us. So that's your members area. Now I'm going to come out of there, and I'm going to go to support and training. And in support and training, you have another carousel. You have the ability to reserve shares in an ad co-op. So an ad co-op is the ability to have people power. So instead of having just as a single person having an ad spend for a month of ads by yourself that would cost you in excess of $300 for a half decent ad campaign, you get to enter a co-op with your team, buy shares at the cost of $65 a share, up to 5 shares each, and with the rest of your team, however many there are, if you had 50, 500, however many members of your team you have, you times that by $65 share, and that makes a lot of money to use on a 2-week ad campaign. So it's really about the power of people. The ad campaigns, as you guys will know, being on your very first ad campaign, they take a while to find their feet. They need to be tweaked. You have demographics to look at, stats to look at, the ad co-op to tweak, the pictures to tweak, the copy to change. We need to find what is the sweet spot for an ad to perform in a way in which the leaders of your DiVA want it to perform. Now, because there's a great many of you, you all have your individual ways in which you would like to see it perform. You would like many different demographics, many different targets, but the guys will sort of work towards what they think is a collective generic for you all, and then we will target that based on what they bring forward to us in terms of what we are targeting. But you guys, all of you guys are in beta testing, so any of your suggestions are always listened to. In fact, as you will know, I welcome them. I always dish out my phone number. I've got many people contacting me on WhatsApp, and we have one-to-one Zooms. I'm always listening to what you have to say, and I welcome that. So you can honestly continue to do that, because this is your system and it's being developed for you. So that's the team co-ops. You've then got a video library which will be populated with training from Roger and Simon, and it will be populated with your 5-day boot camp as well. But for the moment, it's populated with exclusive content from Fraser Brooks, which is a 5-day exclusive training from him that is exclusive to the DiVA system. So there's no one else that gets this. It's only you guys in the DiVA system. We go back to, oops, let's go back to the main menu. Well, I could have gone straight into support. I'll go back into support and training. You've got keywords, which if any of you are keyboard warriors and you don't want to keep going back to the burger menu and back to the main menu and here, there and everywhere, you can just type in these shortcut words into your text bar and it'll go straight to it from there. Or you can press on any of these here and it'll go straight to it like that. You have, of course, got the ability to contact us at live chat. Sorry about all these WhatsApp messages popping up. You can contact us at live chat. You press on there, it will come straight through to one of us, either myself, John, or one of the team, and we will come on and help you with whatever your queries happen to be. And there's always a cancel or unsubscribe, because you can cancel and unsubscribe if you want to. It's entirely up to you. No one is in contract, so you have that option. You've got live support, keywords, video library, and add co-op. We'll go back to the main menu. That is actually, I've covered it all. You've got it all there. So just to summarize, the key things to remember is the 24-hour rule. That is key. So when you have someone that comes in as pre-qualified, the sooner you get onto them, the better. If it goes over that 24-hour clock, you've lost that ability to contact them through your members area. If they've left you a telephone number, then obviously you can have that conversation on the telephone or via WhatsApp. But within this system, you're prevented from being able to continue until they reply. And that, Roger, I think is that.
Okay, well, I've got a question from Andy, and I've got a few questions that I wrote down, and then beyond that, you guys can ask your question. First question from Andy was a very, very good question. He said, if we discard a lead due to no contact, but then a few weeks later, like when they come back from holiday, they message you, will the lead show up in the back office again?
I would actually say it won't. It won't. And the reason that I know that is because one of your members had an experience that was not a great one from someone that decided to become a stalker. And she asked us to block that person. But in order to block them, one of the ways in which to block them is to discard them, because they then can't message you again. So if you discard them and they message you back, you won't get that message.
Right. So. Okay. Right. Cracking question, Andy. Much appreciated for that. So we know the answer to it. And I'd never heard about a stalker. All right. Okay. So I've got a couple of questions that came through from what we'd written. The first thing was, right at the beginning when you were talking about the DiVA cards, and you talked about how to set up the cold DiVA card. Now, we've told people right at the beginning not to set up a warm market DiVA card.
Ah, of course, I forgot about that. Yes, that's right.
Now,
you didn't have a warm market.
The warm market DiVA card is now available. So because it's now available, for the guys that have already set up their cold market DiVA card, the warm market DiVA card presumably is already set up for them.
It is, yes.
So all they need to do now then is share a warm market card with people that they know, but it gets asked a different set of questions, doesn't it? Slightly
Correct.
different.
It is, yes, it is different.
Can we show people what the questions are?
I thought you would ask that. Let's give it a go. So let's send this to myself. So I'll run through, I'll read this out to you, so you guys don't have to read it all out. So it says, "Hi Ollie, I'm sure you are busy, but I'll be quick." So that you'll see that there are similarities, but when you get to the actual questions, they are slightly different. I'm currently in the process of working with like-minded individuals who are looking to create a little extra monthly income, get some more time back in their day, and create lifestyle that each and every one of us deserves. Is extra income, more time, and a better life of interest to you? Now, there's always that little bit at the bottom. To stop the conversation at any time, please simply type stop, or indeed they can press unsubscribe, or if they say no, not really, it won't continue. Or it might actually, in fact, if they say no, not really, it will double check that that is that was the question, that was the answer that they wanted to give, and it would give them the option to opt back in if it wasn't. But if it was, then obviously that would be the end of that. So I'd like to learn more about you. Don't worry, my DiVA is super cool and quick with these 5 questions, 30 seconds max. Let's go. Have you ever had a home-based business? Yes. Would you consider yourself coachable? Yes. Would family and friends consider you to be a positive person? Yes. Do you consider yourself to be self-motivated and ambitious? Yes. Last question, Ollie. Would you be interested in looking at an opportunity to provide you with an extra income, career change, or even that dream lifestyle? Yes. Now, you guys can change that if you want. It doesn't have to be that text. That text is what we have and what we've used and what we have found has worked. But again, you guys are beta testers. This is your system. If you want to have a different warm flow, then we can change that text.
Well, let me ask you something now, just to clarify that one little bit. When you say we can change that, you mean we as a collective. You don't mean individuals can change it.
Correct. I mean you as a collective. So if you think that there's a better way to discuss with people what your opportunity is in a warm way, so we're talking about your warm market, people that you've already had a conversation with, a couple of months ago, that weren't aware of your utilization of this technology, for instance, that you perhaps think might want to revisit that conversation and use something like this, or you've had some great trading results, or whatever it is, that warm market, this is for those people that already know what your offer is, but you want to re-engage with them. That's for those people. So this text, these questions, these are very generic for for generic MLM. You guys have got a specific product. You've got a specific way you do things. You guys have you've got a lot of coaching and training from leaders with a lot of experience, and you know, I've seen it myself that they listen to what you have to say. They value your input, which is why you're beta testers in the first place. And so if you guys feel that as a collective, there's a better way to get that message out on a warm Diva, then we can absolutely change that, how that appears, so that it is populated for all of you in a future warm Diva. And actually, it wouldn't, you know, it won't take a great deal of time to do.
That's good, because I've got some ideas already, because I must admit, there's sort of, you've got to qualify warm market really, because there is warm and warm, because if I sent that to my close friends are really sarcastic, and they'd be clicking no to every answer. And if people start clicking no to the answers, they're just out of the system. So I would rephrase some of those. So we'll talk about rephrasing some of those. So, okay, so Malcolm said, can we create a different video for a warm Diva card to the one for your cold Diva card?
Well, that is something that we used to do. We used to do it so that it was completely separate. And what we found was that the majority of people was saying, can we have it the other way? So this, you know, this is why we've changed it. It is possible to reset it so that it does do a separate, you know, so that you're doing separate videos for separate cards. That is a possibility, and it is something
that changes it for everybody.
But that changes it for everybody.
Okay. Yeah. So the short answer is no then.
Currently, it's no. Yeah, that's the short answer. Yeah, currently no. Yeah.
Okay. Could have done that one quicker, but never mind. All right. Right. Let's just touch on. So we've gone through the warm Diva, and there is another Diva that's coming, and we're working on it. And you and I need to talk about that as well, because we need a conversation offline about that one. But there is another Diva that's going to come for follow-ups, and we're properly excited about that one. But I want to talk about the invite URL. Now, we touched on you went into a lot of detail on the invite URL. Can I just simplify something and just say, would you consider this to be best advice? For the invite URL, I think just better not to send it on Messenger. Just share your Diva card. Don't bother sending the URL. Would you not agree?
I would totally agree. If you're going to send anything on Messenger, I would wholeheartedly send your Diva card straight on Messenger.
Because it's the URL that seems to cause the problem, isn't it? It's because it puts that picture in.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna send your Diva card via WhatsApp, well then it has to be the link. Yeah.
If you're gonna set, exactly right.
So if you're gonna send that by WhatsApp, it has to be the link. But if you're gonna send it by by WhatsApp, by LinkedIn, or by text message or whatever, it's got to be the link. But if you're sending it via Messenger, just share your Diva card, and that does everything, and it's just simple. Yeah, and the real world is let's just keep this simple. So, okay. One other thing I wanted to touch on was Facebook profile, and you said about the Facebook profile needing to be appropriate. And I remember having a conversation with someone probably 12 months ago, who's in my team right now, who said that he had a previous sponsor in his previous company who told him that his Facebook profile didn't look professional, and he had to change his profile, and he had to do this and say that, and he had to present it. And he said, it's not me what he wants me to do. It's like he wants me to do something that's just not me, and I don't feel comfortable with it. And we're not saying that. We're not telling you not to be yourself. If your Facebook profile is a profile that you share with family and friends, and you put pictures of daft parties at the weekend, and maybe jokes that some people might consider to be off color, but your family and friends just think it's hysterical, be yourself. Stick to being yourself. Yeah. But you can create a Facebook page for business that is maybe a little bit more straight-laced, and that way you can be yourself in your private profile, have a giggle, be with your friends, call people rude names, do whatever the hell you want. That's you, yeah. But have a business profile that is a little different. If I click on my DiVA card, it goes through to my business page. Awful lot of you see my business page because it's called the Winner Circle FX, and you see the stuff that I post from my page into our Facebook group. So, but my DiVA card takes people to my Facebook page rather than my home page. So we're not telling you to change yourself or anything else, but do be aware that, you know, if on your Facebook page you've fallen out with a family member who happens to be a raving lunatic and calls you all sorts of names and pours all kind of poison all over your page, it can hurt your business a little bit. So just be conscious of where you're sending to. Setting a Facebook page up isn't difficult. And if you need help setting up a Facebook page, we can do a training on how you do that. And we can set you up with something that you consider to be appropriate. And that way you can have your personal life with your family and friends, be yourself, and at the same time do something slightly different. Because it goes to a Facebook page very easily. Am I right, Ollie?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you brought that up, Roger, because as I was saying it, I did think that it probably required a little bit further explanation. And Roger's absolutely right. Don't change yourself. You know, don't sort of think, oh, I have to be super formal, because actually people don't relate to that. Just be yourself. I think really what I'm talking about is try to refrain from making personal political statements, because honestly, they can really hurt you. Even if you wholeheartedly believe that that is the way you politically feel, you know, so it only takes someone to have the opposite feeling to it, and that could be a potential lead that, you know, just from a flippant remark or feeling that just disappears. So just be yourself. Just be mindful of the sort of content you have on your Facebook. That's all. That's really all I was getting at. It's actually better to be yourself, and you'll have your own family interactions and that sort of thing, because people will relate to that, and people will really automatically see if you're trying to be anything other than you're not, than what, you know, anything other than what you are. But just try to refrain from things that, you know, some people are going to be put off by. Just remember, if you like, that it might be that someone that could be a potential prospect to you guys, that could be someone that, you know, could turn your business from where it is to skyrocket it. They just see something that they don't like on your Facebook, and that could be the end of that. Whereas if you're mindful of the sort of content that you've got on there, then that is really all I meant. I think Fraser Brooks does some training on the sort of thing that you should consider having, how to have your Facebook page. And that's, you know, he's a pretty switched on guy. He knows his stuff. He's obviously well trained in all of this sort of thing, and he sees the difference between how people that do have a certain view and people that are more themselves, and how they differentiate between other people that have bad profiles. And so really it's just a case of to just be mindful of the content that's going on there. That's all. And I'm sure you probably all are already. You probably all are.
It is just the fact that we live in a very politically correct world, and something that can be a real honest mistake can be disastrous. As far as this, politics are contentious, religion is contentious, race is contentious. It's sexism is contentious. It's really easy to upset people. So just be generally aware. Andy's just said, if we open up a new Facebook page, it'll be a brand new page with no history, and people. Well, to be honest with you, Andy, you can add a business page, and because the Winner's Circle business page that I have is now 5-6 months old. Ed created a Winner's Circle business page at the same time as I did. Yeah, it's 6 months old. It's not that new.
Uh,
It depends on how much stuff you post to it. And I am not a Facebook junkie. I post a few times a week. I do not overburden my page with mountains of stuff. The most important thing is the stuff that I put on is relevant, because I think about what I put on and I think about whether it's relevant to my prospects.
I don't think that any of you should change your Facebook page. I just think you should be just be mindful of the sort of content that you have on there. That's all. That's all.
Yeah.
Just mindful of it.
Okay.
Have fun and do what you do, but just be mindful of the sort of comments that might be on there. That's all.
Okay. I also wrote down about the change from qualified leads to hot leads. And the difference that we wanted to sort of get across when we changed that was, we talked about what Simon and I considered to be a hot lead. We didn't really consider people to be a hot lead unless they had a telephone number, because you know what Simon's like about wanting to follow people up by telephone. I like to follow people up by telephone. And I know after last Tuesday's call, a lot of people expressed on Wednesday morning, I saw a flood of comments in the Phoenix group saying that people were concerned about how you contact people on the telephone. They don't know how you go about it. They don't feel comfortable with it. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, I'm going to do telephone training, and I will role play. I'm going to pick a couple of you guys to just be customers whilst I speak to you, and I roll through exactly how I would approach individual contacts. Picking up the telephone, I don't find difficult. I did find it difficult when I first started, so I understand what you feel about that. In the first instance, I can see Cello smiling. I did a telephone call with Cello years and years ago. Long before I heard of the Winner's Circle, Cello, I was a director of a radio network, and I did some telephone training with Cello. I will not be picking Cello tomorrow. Cello is a nightmare as a customer. That's not happening. However, I will show you exactly how we do, how I handle it, because really it's not a formal conversation. And that's really what I want to try and get across to people and make sure that you understand that. So we'll go through that and we'll show you how to do that. This is the thing that we seem to have complicated in my mind with this, and we've lost a little bit of it. Social media is about being sociable, and it's about being friendly. It was meant to be about friends talking to each other. We know that when Zuckerberg created it all those years back, it was meant to be about university friends talking to each other, and it's gone on and it's developed, and we all know it has, and it's become one of the biggest money makers on the planet. But there's still at the core, it's about people communicating. And I heard a fabulous description of communication years and years and years ago from a sales trainer. And he said, communication is a two-way street. Just because you say something doesn't mean that the person at the other side has heard it. When you say something and the other person acknowledges that they've heard it and they react back to you, now you are communicating. It's a two-way street. But what I've seen with DiVA is a lot of people who think my job now is to sell people and get them to join IM Academy. And you guys are trying to go into sales mode, and I'm not being rude to any of you, but an awful lot of you, you don't come from a sales background, you're not sales. There are some salespeople on here, but the majority of you are not salespeople. And you're doing what you think sales is about. And you're trying to ram it down people's throats. And you're going into broadcast mode rather than communication mode. Have to say, experience doesn't make a world of difference. Simon is the worst for going into broadcast mode, in my opinion. And how many times have you heard me just sort of slap him around the face whilst we've been on these calls, because he just goes into full-on broadcast mode? Simon just has a message to get across, and he doesn't listen to whether other people do it. Not being disrespectful to Simon. Simon's been doing this for 32 years, and Simon is extremely good at what he does. But I do know that if you just have a chat with people, you will get a better result. So when you use DiVA, make friends with people, and that's what we were saying last week. So for me, it's better to make friends with people when I pick the telephone up. People can hear my phone, hear my voice, They can hear that I'm much more relaxed about it. They can hear that I'm not trying to ram it down their throats. I want to get them talking, and I want them to feel that they're not under pressure from me. And right now, what an awful lot of you seem to be doing is you seem to sort of push people down something, and they're feeling under pressure. And on social media, if they feel under pressure, the easiest thing to do is just ignore you. It's like really, really easy. And that's why we get people saying, I'm being ghosted. And you don't necessarily know that you're doing something wrong. It's just a matter of experience. Try and relax them. Your first job is just to get people relaxed. Try to get people to like you. Once you get them relaxed and you've got them liking you, the next step is then to invite them to go on a call. It's not about, I must get people to join IM Academy right now, because I'll tell you now, the majority of people that come at the top end of that funnel, we know will not join IM Academy. It's not about getting everybody to join. It's about filtering through and finding the ones that want to join. So really, this is right now, whether you come to contact people by Messenger, whether you contact people by WhatsApp, whether you actually pick the phone up and do it, whatever you do, just try and be a bit more relaxed, a bit more laid back with them. Try and make friends, find out what's important to them, and take it on from there. I'm moving into tomorrow night's training now, so I'm going to stop that now. Are there any other questions that anyone has that we haven't covered on this that you want to know about DiVA? Sue shot forward for a keyboard there, so.
I can see Angela waving.
Yeah. Angela, I can't see Angela. She's on a different screen. Angela, unmute yourself then and ask the question, please.
Hello, everyone.
There you are.
Right, I've got a few questions. They're written on an A3 sheet of paper, but there's not that many.
A3 sheet? Oh,
it's all I had at the side of me. Right, you know when we're doing our chats with them in the chat before it comes through on WhatsApp or anything, there's a limit on the number of letters.
Mm-hmm.
Is that limit, is that in every single response that we do?
Right, that's a brilliant question, and I'm glad you've asked it. That is a superb question. Okay, so when we first launched you guys, actually, was it you guys? When we first launched DiVA, what we did is the chat would happen between your members area, and it would happen between a recipient's linked members area, a linked area, like a website link. And at that point, it didn't have a character limit. What we did was we wanted to change that relationship between you and the prospect. So we made it so that the recipient received it straight into their messenger rather than via a website link. What that meant was that there's a character limit on what you can send messenger at any one time, and within this system, not within normal messenger, but within this system. And so that character limit is set so that you can see it and you know that that message is going to send. But there you can absolutely send multiple messages. You don't have to stick to one message. You can, if what you need to say needs to be said over 5 separate messages, then say it over 5 separate messages. That's fine. Don't go on to War and Peace sort of thing. Don't bombard them, because remember, they're going to receive them as 5 individual messages. But if you need to, send a few messages to say what you need to say, then absolutely do that, and that is fine. That's no problem in that. It's just the character limits are set by the web app going into Messenger, and it's a Facebook thing.
I think I've found that it was just that little bit too short for, just to say, oh, hi, great to have you here, great to speak. And by the time you've said those little words, you've used a lot of them up.
Yeah.
But
so say that, and then send it, and then say your next piece and send that.
Like a sentence at a time.
Yeah, and if you looked at the video that I did and the PDF that I put out, when I put down how I sent them through, I broke them down line by line and put
Mm.
short answers in, because
Mm.
it's just like on Twitter. You
Yeah,
can't send a massive conversation on Twitter. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I don't use Twitter, so I'm not used to that.
okay, Twitter. I mean, Twitter was the first one that famously came out with short messages.
One-liners, yeah.
But it just keeps it conversational, because it's like if you have a conversation with, so you get into a conversation with someone and you ask someone a question, they go into an answer and they give you War and Peace. You get to the point you say, "Wish they shut up," because they're talking. You're not getting a chance. Well, sending War and Peace on this is pretty much the same kind of thing. The only difference is they're not with you, so they can go, "I can't be bothered."
Yeah. Okay.
You have to keep people's attention.
I've got a couple more, if you don't mind.
Go on then.
I've had 4 up to now, and my last one is the most promising. I got his WhatsApp number, I got a response, his name and this and that and the other. But the others, well, even him actually didn't answer all the questions. So they maybe didn't say how many, basically they just said how much they wanted to earn, and they were working full time. So the other questions weren't completed. And obviously that means that then you've got to go and ask those questions in the chat afterwards. But is there any way, and I don't know whether it would make it worse or better or what, is there any way that they could be linked so that you had to fill a question on before you went to the next question?
That is the case. They do have to do that. The money question, we took the money question out of it because people felt that it was, or we felt as well, that it was actually slowing down the number of people coming through, and B, also putting off some team members, because if people were saying, "I've only got £250, we had people going, "Well, these are going to be no good, they've only got 250 quid. Okay. So in the real world, people will answer 250 because they're scared that you're just trying to sell them something, so they'll put down the smallest number. So we took that option away, we took it out completely. And this is part of what Ollie was saying about that learning process. As we refine this right now, this question only came about, that wasn't one of John and Ollie's original questions. Simon and I asked for that question to go in. And when we asked for that question to go in, we found that it reduces the number of people that would come through to us, and it's creating another barrier, so we've taken it out again. Okay. So the person that comes through to you as a qualified lead has answered every question that they've been given. If they don't answer every question, they don't come through.
Okay. All right.
They're not qualified. They don't come through qualified if they don't answer every question.
Okay.
Right. Okay. And the 24-hour start at the time, is that the time shown on the pre-qualified lead? The date and time that is now shown on there? That 24 hours, does that
That's your first 24 hour. That's your first 24 hour. And then after that, you'll actually see every time they respond, you see the time that they respond, and you've got 24 hours from the time that they respond.
Okay.
So
that's why we decided it
useful addition.
Yeah, we decided it was important to put that in there for a number of reasons, and that being one of them. It's important for you to know how much time you've got left of your 24-hour clock.
Okay.
And just as an aside, really, going back to the warm lead, since we're all part of this and we're all testers and that, the warm questions, I think if I sent them to my friends, they'd think I'd lost the plot, because they'd think she already knows.
I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with you. But we'll come up with something that we think works.
Is more friendly.
If I send those questions to my friends, as I said, they'd be giving stupid answers because they're my friends, and that's why I said we also have to differentiate what is warm market and close family and friends. There are people that I know that I used to work with that I could send those questions to, and I could say, just answer them simple, straightforward. If I sent it to my best friends, I'd get really stupid answers back to them. Yeah.
I mean, you could have like a 1 to 5, could you? Do you class yourself as positive 1 to 5 or something?
Yeah,
You know, rather than
my friends would just automatically say, no, 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 just for the sake of being sarcastic. So yeah, we'll work on that. We will come up with something for that.
okay, thank you.
All right, you're welcome, Angela. All right, so let's just look back. Andy, I'd missed a question in part of yours. With regard to Facebook advertising rules, no MLM or no Forex, is it for professional ads? In other words, I can post videos of my trades as long as I don't show monetary figures. I don't understand the question, Andy. Unmute yourself and ask it, please, mate. It's on a different page, I can't see.
It's not there.
Not there, right? Oh, he's gone. Right, okay. One new message. Oh, he's in the office, doesn't have a headset. All right, okay. The rules as far as advertising, no MLM or Forex are just Facebook's rules, and they're rules that we will abide by because it will just damage everything for everyone. So we're not going to question it. It just says that's it. So that's as far as the ads are concerned. And any ads that we'll place through DiVA and through the Advertising Corp will just comply with Facebook's rules. End of story. As far as posting your trades on your profile, then yeah, that's fine. Do whatever you like. That's completely up to you. We still have the issues of compliance with IM, but it won't affect any of this. So if it comes to, if you want to place any other ads within Facebook and you're placing it outside of DiVA, and again, take your chance, just be aware that Facebook may block a profile if they think that you're breaking their rules. So I think that's the best answer I can give you as far as that one's concerned, mate. Both Sue and Cello wanted to know when is the next ad co-op about to start. I had a conversation with John about this last week, Ollie, and I kind of got it in my head that John was away next week, not this week. So are we planning on starting the next ad co-op from this Sunday or from next Sunday? I know we've got budget left for this week.
He's away this week, so he has left it set with the budget that is remaining.
Right. And that's going to cover this week. Is it going to run into next week as well?
I'd have to check with him, but I should think it probably will.
Right. Okay. So I think you're probably right.
So
I did have a conversation with John last week talking about this, and I knew that John was going away with his son for a week. I don't get this holidays. I don't get holidays. How does that happen? You're always on planes, you two. So you're on planes more than Andy is, and he's a pilot. So as far as the ad corp is concerned, I think the next ad corp will be released midweek next week, ready to start the following Monday. So we've got sufficient funds to keep dripping leads through right now. It's not going to be an avalanche of leads, but what we're doing more than anything else is we're collecting really valuable data to make sure that the next one is much bigger. So Sue, the answer will be you'll buy it next week, and Cello, that's your answer for you as well, mate. So
as soon as I know when it's going to be, I will let you know.
Yeah.
Because the new updated version of the first come first served software is released now.
Yep.
So that will be live for that next ad co-op. So as soon as I know when that is going to be open, I'll let you know.
Okay. All right. Okay. In that case, Gary Hudson says discard lead still not working. You've got 4 people on for the last 3 weeks. Ollie, I think you need to have a word with Gary about that individually, because I've discarded leads and I know that they've gone. So okay. Gary Hudson says he can't discard a lead. So Ollie, Sorry, Gary, Ollie will have a look at that one for you.
Yeah, I'll have a look, Gary, and I'll give you a shout.
Anything else, or anyone else rather? Any other questions? No? Well, in that case, we've got away with a shorter time than I expected. I think it's because Simon's not here. So, okay. So, no confusions. We can just carry on with it. Good stuff. Right. In that case, guys, let's wrap it up. Thank you for your time. I hope it's clarified things for you. To me, DiVA's tremendously exciting, and DiVA is being successful. Remember, DiVA right now is just still beta testing stage. So we're all learning as we're doing this. But in the real world, I think we now have something like it's either 6 or 17 members now that have come through DiVA. In fact, we've got more than that, 6 or 7 that have come from the ad co-op now. But we've got more than that have come through DiVA. So DiVA is working. So go to town with it, make hay with it, share it on social media, share it with your prospects. I've already changed my Facebook profile so that the link is there in my Facebook profile. Just get it out there and let it start working for you right now, because DiVA will make life easier for you, and DiVA will help you rank advance. There are people already sharing it. You can see results. You can see people doing some tremendous things. So just go to town with it. Tomorrow, I will go through the telephone process. The idea behind the telephone process is to try to make things better for you so that you can actually reach out to people on the telephone. And I hear some people saying, I'm not very good on the telephone, I'm very nervous. If you don't want to go on the telephone, then all I can say is bear in mind what your prospect wants. If your prospect says they want a telephone conversation, you really need to give your prospect what they want. But if your prospect is quite happy to chat on social media, and you think you can do it, follow the guidelines we're going to give you, and it will work for you. Simple as that. So guys, I'll see you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Thank you for your time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.